Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And it definitely is the throes of winter, but that don't change what we doing with the culture. And as we talk about culture, it's a lot of flavor that comes from the city, and the creativity that comes with that flavor has layers to it. Those layers to it definitely is a sword of the word, and that word is spoken word. So that could be in that form of hip hop, that could be in the form of poetry, that can be in the form of slam poetry, that can be in the form of really just sitting down, writing some words and then putting it up on a post or something. And this is a young brother that's been doing it for a while and definitely connecting with audiences and rhythm and paces and flows. Actually had the pleasure of booking him a couple of times. Loki, how you doing, my brother?
Peace and love. How you living?
Yes, sir.
Feeling good.
All is well. So you here because you got something coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely get to that, but we always start these Detroit is Difference with your Detroit story.
Okay.
So, generations deep. How many generations deep is your fam to the city of Detroit?
Oh, good question. And that's funny because when I was riding over here, I was thinking about that because my pops, he's famous for taking me on cruises around the city, showing me where the family lived, showing me where we grew up and where he grew up and where different relatives, giving me the oral history of the family tree. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about this particular block because one day we had ran into my uncle. You feel me? Just coming from church one day. But generations deep. Let's see, my pops and moms, they was here. So I guess I'm third generation because my grandmother came here from Eufaula, Alabama.
All right, so your grandmother on your mom's side or dad's side?
On my dad, on my dad's side.
Okay, so Alabama, Eufaula, Alabama.
Eufaula.
On your dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
Where you already gave the where, but what brought her from Alabama up to Detroit?
And she said it was boring down there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I remember, rest in peace to my grandmother. I was speaking to her in her later years. And she was like, I was asking her one day, like, what was it like down there? You follow woo woo woo. She's like, child, it was boring. I don't remember that. Okay. But seriously though, probably the plant jobs because she came up here when she was younger. I think she was still a teenager. So
okay,
mm-hmm.
All right. And then on your dad, that's your dad's side. Your mom's side.
Now my mom's side is a interesting story because she's from France. Yeah, she's from Paris. So
your grandparents were there, or was she born in Paris and then she was
born in Paris?
Detroit? Oh, yeah, so your mom was born in Paris and then comes to Detroit.
Born in Paris, lived in Paris till she was about 3 or 4 and came here.
All right, so what led from Paris to Detroit?
Because my grandpa was in the war. Yeah, he was a veteran. So he met my grandma over in Paris. Okay,
when you say the war, I'm guessing that's World War II, but what war?
He was not sure what war it was. Must have been World War II. But it must have been World War II. Yeah, that's probably how they lived. That's probably how they met. But actually, he was in the service, so maybe it wasn't a war going on. You feel me? He was probably just stationed over there.
So from here, but born. Now I get more of the scope.
Because I think I got some German in me too. Yeah, I think it's some German in me.
Okay.
Because of my grandmother. So, this was not too far after World War II. So he was probably still stationed over there in Germany.
All right. Remember that mic. Remember that mic. I got you. All right. So if I get this, during wartime, so your mom is born overseas during that time, but your grandfather
in the wake of that time, yeah.
In the wake of that time. So your grandfather was originally, where was he originally from? But an American soldier.
Originally from the North End.
So he was already from the D.
Yeah, he was from the D.
All right.
Yeah, and then his people down south, I'm not sure on that side where we from down south. Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. So in this whole connection, I guess I would say like North End is what you speak of.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that in that neighborhood. Did you keep those roots where your family was from? Did you connect over that way, or you just know it was the North End?
I just know it was the North End, and I like studying history too.
Mm-hmm.
So I like just studying like the anthropology of the city for real.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right. So now let's, I guess, go back to the cruises that your pops would take you on,
Yeah.
kind of knowing that side. Where were they? Where were they at? What was the
Like
neighborhood?
the,
and city?
like Coney Gardens,
Mm.
over here through Davidson, you know, where he would tell me about where Malcolm used to speak at.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly the West Side. I was watching some of your interviews yesterday. You was talking
Mm-hmm.
about the East Side, West Side with Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Young Village, and you know, I'm been on West Sider for real.
Okay.
But, well, you know, Coney Gardens is East Side, but
I definitely think that that's for sure East Side.
yeah, that's
but
East Side,
up
but
in this whole, I guess, footprint in space, as we know, Malcolm X and his family. When we think of
Detroit Red,
the Detroit Red is more the Harlem moniker of, of Malcolm, because I mean, there was like, what the hell is Manson? You know, it's like, you know, if anybody from Michigan, when you go other places, they kind of take on being from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be a person from Kalamazoo, and it's like, where the hell is Kalamazoo? It's like, it's Detroit. You know, and it's like, all right, so you Detroit this, but Malcolm X's stay in the city of Detroit. As we know, the home in Inkster, but the mosque right there on Linwood, and so much of that footprint in this community was very heavy, opening and welcoming people to the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, definitely.
So in that, your mom, your dad, what were they doing? What neighborhood did you grow up in as a kid yourself?
So as a kid myself, I really grew up like Midtown, Cass Corridor. Downtown, and then you know, when my pops, I'd be out in Southfield, Oak Park.
So what era are we talking about? Because so much has changed in that Cass Corridor, Midtown community, and we often don't think about like families being over there or kids being over there. What era, what years are we talking about you coming up?
2000s.
Okay.
You know, mid 2000s.
So mid 2000s is around the time when a lot of that is changing. The Midtown Community Development Corporation really begins pulling things in. Dally in the Alley's been there for years, even before then, but it just takes a different shift. What do you remember about like that community and other children in the neighborhood? What was it like culturally in that mid 2000s era for you?
It was lit, really, because it was like cool access, you know what I mean? Like, because you had Wayne State right there, you had downtown basically down the street, but at the same time you had the still quote unquote neighborhood mentality, or the, you know, still people that's coming up out of struggle, overcoming struggle, and but still living in that horizon of, again, waking up. You can see, you know what I'm saying, the Renaissance Center from your window, and then you can see Wayne State, where people from all over the world is coming. But then at the same time, you still have people that's, you know, getting put out or struggling to pay their light bill, or, you know what I'm saying, like coming from that struggle.
Okay. And when I definitely recognize that time, mid 2000s, so much begins changing in that community, because that's one of those communities where development really takes a hold.
Yeah, and I was around there. I was doing, you know, rec center, you feel me, going
What
to
rec center?
Weigel. I used to go to Weigel. It's not there no more. It's a skate park there now.
Mm.
I used to go to Weigel. I used to go to Think Detroit, play baseball around there, and basketball courts. Like, that's what I really loved about it. Like, it had that, you know, connectedness to go do all that stuff. Whereas, you know, my friends that lived on the east side didn't really have like a whole, you know what I'm saying, different complexes to go to for after school stuff.
Okay. All right. And you actually played baseball.
Yeah, I played a little baseball.
Okay, because, you know, usually it's like, you know, older brothers play baseball, but everybody our age thinks like, oh man, I ain't playing baseball. What position?
Baseball, I would play second base. Second base,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or outfield.
All right. Did you like it, or was it one of them things where y'all just played it because y'all played it?
I liked it. I played it for about 4 years or something. Yeah, but I didn't take it into like high school or nothing, no.
Okay. All right, and then let's talk about that school journey. So where were you going to school?
Going to school at first I was going to school at Flix, because, you know, so with my mom being French, she wanted me to learn French. So Flix was foreign language immersion. cultural studies,
Mhm.
and I really loved going there because I think that's where I get the whole "let's get tribal" from, because literally every different, it was 4 different languages they was teaching, so every uh, level in the school was a different language, so it was like every level in the school was a different village.
So we've talked about Flix before
Mhm.
on Detroit is Different, and I'm so glad that
Love
you
the
can
Flix.
add more layers to
Oh,
the
Flix.
Flix story, and what Flix is, because Flix is one of those schools that is very unique, and inside of Detroit public schools, people always say like this there and that there, but the immersion of it, meaning that it gets to a certain point where if you're a student in a Japanese program,
Man,
everything is
yeah,
Japanese.
it was immersive.
If you're in the French program, like the mathematics you're learning, everything, the whole,
Counting.
you can't even say that's a door.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you took to it in the French program?
Yep, in the French program, and it was dope because all of our, like you said, all of our teachers were teaching in French. We was reading French books,
Mm.
and then you go down the hall, or you go upstairs. That's the Japanese village, and all they learning is Japanese. And then you go downstairs. That's the
Spanish village.
Spanish village or the Hispanic village. So
Mm.
it taught me a lot about world culture, and I had a lot of African teachers,
Mm.
and social studies. So I learned a lot about just different cultures, and even like geography. At 3rd grade, we learned about longitude and latitude, and um, just really feeling that culture for real, because they was like from different places. Like all of the teachers were from wherever they were speaking, for the most part.
And also within it, and you go there through elementary school?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you still speak French?
Not fluently, but subconsciously it's there. And,
Okay.
it gave me an affinity for appreciating different cultures from around the world.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
We would have
after
assemblies that was like big village celebrations, like you said they would. We had to do we had to do different dances from that culture and eat the different foods from that culture. So it wasn't just the language; it was the culture itself.
all right, and as you talk about like those languages and just the understanding of French, as Detroit was a province of France, as France colonized a lot of Americas. New Orleans was a province of France, and just the whole concept, the Louisiana Purchase, that whole concept is more of the United States of America was a French province at one point in time, and even Canada itself being a part of France.
Yeah.
So, it's some of this relationship between France and Detroit itself. Cadillac, that quote unquote, they'll say like discover, but in reality, steals Detroit.
Yeah.
That's a French name. Hence, all of this relationship
With
to
France.
France and Detroit, it flows through in a lot of ways.
Synchronicity right there.
And these connections, but from that idea of Flix, after Flix, where do you go to school?
So after Flix, I go to UPrep. And
Okay.
now UPrep was dope to go to because it was cultural still, and this was right when it was still early in its development, because they had like existential learning where we would learn about different career paths. So I'm like 10 years old, learning about whatever I wanted to. I could sit down and have a meeting with my teacher, and and my parent, and we figure out, okay, I want to be a photographer. So now you got to learn about this, that, and you're gonna do an exhibition on it at the end of the year. I'm 10 years old doing conscious lectures about ancient Egypt, because I thought about being a Egyptologist. So yeah, that was really dope going to UPrep for real.
So let's talk a little bit about just that interest in Egypt at such a young age. What was it that connected you to that? Because I was going to wonder, like, oftentimes that's the dream of many parents, of you want to provide a child a vision of what the career could be.
Yeah.
And then it's also like a kid is a kid, and it's like, how do they even discover something of what they want to explore? How did you choose Egypt?
Yeah, like I was saying, my pops, he was really heavy into giving me consciousness and learning about Black culture and African culture. And he had a wall of just like a wall of fame of different Black leaders. So that just led me down the rabbit hole.
Any people that you remember that were on that wall of fame?
Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman. You know, the greats, the classic greats, and there's some lesser known ones as well. But Tupac, Muhammad Ali, and yeah, that just led me, you know, from an early age, just led me down that rabbit hole of studying that, and ended up in the library and seeing an Egypt book, and you know, just that's what I wanted to do my presentations on, because to bring it back to the school, like that's what we was challenged to do, was do exhibitions. So that's what made that school different. What made Flix different was the language and the culture. What made UPrep different was we had to do an exhibition at the end of each semester, and it was a full-on presentation. You had to have an agenda, you had to have graphics, and you had to come up with something engaging. So as I'm sitting here talking, I guess I was like groomed to do cultural exhibitions, which is what I do now.
All right, and I know that, like, I love the stories, like in that origin of adding that tapestry from that Detroit story, because these assets still exist throughout. But the one thing I did skip over, your mom and dad, what were they doing the time that you were coming up, even as you speak to your father having this wall of fame and everything? What was the work? What was the studies? Where were their walks of life as you were coming up?
Yeah, my pops, he was into photography and entrepreneur. And then my mom was always into social work, or she worked with the city, with the Detroit Rec Department for a long time. And so that's why she knew everybody, because she was at all the different rec centers and community organizing.
So, all right, now I definitely have some questions about first the rec center, and I know your mom. Shout out to the Sly Mac. But along with that whole concept, these rec centers, and because having a mom that works at a rec center, I assume you probably had a gateway to like all types of like experiences that a kid could have.
Yeah. I would go to the rec centers a lot, and that's where I would meet a lot of friends, meet a lot of mentors, meet a lot of get involved with a lot of programs, because those was different hubs. And
what centers and what programs stand out that you remember today?
I remember Weigel. Like I said, I was down the street from my house. I was lit. They used to pull up with the and it's like I got a faint memory of it, but they used to pull up with like this bus, the Swimmobile. Is that?
Yeah. The Swimmobile is real.
Oh, I'm like, was that a childhood dream? Was I dreaming?
No, the Swimmobile is a real thing. I didn't know that the Swimmobile was around in the early 2000s, but I could believe it. It may be just like rare, but so people kind of get an idea of the city of Detroit. We put everything on wheels, hence it's the Motor City. So there was a bookmobile, meaning like a library on wheels. There was a Swimmobile, meaning like it's not a pool, but they'll pull up with a pool, and now you get a pool in the neighborhood.
What was it? Was it a truck or something?
Yeah, it was a real truck that will pull up, and people and kids would swim.
It was like a big old like construction truck, wasn't it?
Like like almost. I mean, people say like, man, that was just a dump truck. And
that's a dump truck with water.
It had the design of a dump truck. Let's put it like that. But it was designed to be the Swimmobile.
Right.
You know,
some would use it as a dump truck.
Yes. So, but it's not like on Tuesday they picking up garbage, and then on Wednesday they putting water in it for kids to jump in. No, that is not what was happening. No. But the Swimmobile is real.
Man, that melanin, we resourceful, ain't we?
I mean, not just the melanin, that and just the Detroit concept of putting everything on wheels. Shout out to Khaled and what he's done with the mobile museum, but the mobile museum is really carrying on with a lot of people didn't notice well, now it's the Wright, but Charles H. Wright African American Museum starts as something on wheels, because he was like, yo, it's not enough young people throughout the city of Detroit that know enough about Black history. So I'm going to have this trailer drive up to a place, welcome some kids on board, and then they can learn about Black history.
Bring it to you.
Yeah. So it's just a Detroit thing. Hence the food truck phenomenon that's happening right now is is everywhere. And I don't think that's just a Detroit thing, but it's a different flavor in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like food trucks are fighting for parking lots nowadays. You know what I mean? So so that stands out. Anything else stands out from any of those rec centers? Because the reason I ask, so many people are always looking to engage young minds and what captures. So you looking back at it, if something stands out, in my mind, that's like a hook.
Pull up in the swimmobile. Bring back the swim.
Bring back the swimmobile.
Bring back the swimmobile. You know that's number one. Okay, and then I went to Roberto Clemente. Roberto Clemente. I remember that a little more vivid because we would hoop there. What was different about there?
I would say if you're mid 2000s, that center is kind of breaking ground and remodeled probably around that time because it was down the street from the Michigan Citizen. Roberto Clemente on Bagley in Southwest Detroit, honoring one of the greatest baseball players, but also social advocate for justice. In what he did as a role as a professional athlete. So shout out to Roberto Clemente in that center. And it would be a lot of other, back to your immersive culture experiences, because it's in Southwest Detroit, it had a different flair and feel too.
Definitely had a different flavor. That was that was immersive because it was like you go over that bridge and you're like, I'm in Mexico.
it definitely felt like that, and you was hooping. Okay, so what was the thought process? Is like, you know what I'm saying? What was the pickup game there? I feel like even in the era, you talked about basketball. Basketball changed so much playing pickup basketball because that's just so much a part of my childhood. Nowadays it's like pickup basketball is like a 3-point contest. What was
well, this was around when the Pistons was winning, still good. Okay. So everybody wanted to be Ben, everybody wanted to be Chauncey, everybody wanted to be Rip, Tayshaun.
Okay, so it was still a mid-range game.
I thought I was Tayshaun.
Hilarious. So mid-range game. Still a little bit tough.
It was team sport. It was like you come with your team, So it was definitely more of a team sport, grittier basketball.
So that's similar to what we play. Go to a pickup game now. It'll blow your mind.
It'll just be all threes.
It's almost, man, these kids will be at half court pulling. Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's funny because it used to be no 3-point line. So from that
let's put it like this. I think if you create a basketball court today and you don't have a 3-point line, you will have a basketball court that will not have people playing basketball on it. So
Ice Cube had the 4-point line with the 3-on-3 contest.
So these are some of the rec centers from middle high school. Where do you go?
High school, UPrep.
Stayed at UPrep.
Stayed at UPrep.
Okay, and what is it like making that transition just for those parents when it's like, okay, you kind of are from middle to high school, similar to like that old school, like, okay, we was in this neighborhood and transitioned to the same school with the same students. Did you like the whole concept of like saying with that same crew and all your friends, or what was that like for you?
Yeah, that was lit because it again built a tribal communal experience, you know what I'm saying? Everybody looked out for each other, you feel me? It was like everybody encouraged each other for real, even through the fun, you know what I'm saying? Like we would have fun, but everybody would be on their shit, you know what I'm saying? Everybody would be getting their grades good, and presentation, like the presentations kept going, so people got better at presenting. It was like, you feel me?
Can you share a little bit more about this style of, I guess, the way the school delivered the education and
build
pacing?
your curriculum with your parent and your teacher, and of course you still had your math, science,
core
academics. Your read, write, and arithmetic. But you got to basically carve out a time of day each day to study your discipline, and then you were responsible for having an exhibition at the end of the semester. That's going to be about 30 to 40 minutes, probably 30 minutes long, and then you had to have something engaging. You had to have an agenda and a presentation. So it taught you presentation skills and how to communicate to a group of people.
So these skill sets you obviously are utilizing today.
Then we would translate that and do internship. So within the high school, we would take that, and we had internship coordinators. Shout out to our internship coordinators. They was out cold. They would get us in touch with the industry leader, you feel me, that we wanted to connect to, and get us connected, and we have an internship every Thursday.
So going into high school, did you shift from Egyptology to something else, or what? Where was
I
your
just
focus?
hopped around. You could just, they was encouraged to like try something different, you know.
So each semester you had the opportunity to try something new.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out most throughout high school?
What stood out most throughout high school? I was studying nonprofits. I was studying how to run nonprofits, so community organizing, music and community organizing, because I was studying with the CDC Vanguard, Community Development Corporation, and then I was studying with Detroit Future City with an internship with them, and Alea, she taught me poetry. And then I also had an internship at a studio out in Southfield.
All right, so I want to know what studio that was, but I also want to contextualize, like often in these Detroit is difference.
Yeah.
Some of what you mentioned. So Vanguard Industries. So Vanguard Industries and what Vanguard represents is a connection of Bishop Van. And Bishop Van and what he represented, going back to that whole concept of the North End. Like my introduction of knowing the work of Bishop Van is people was like, this is around the era of Mayor Kilpatrick assuming the role and becoming the mayor of the city of Detroit. And they like, you ever met his pastor? You ever met his pastor? You ever met his pastor? And I'm like, nah, I don't know who this guy is. And then one day I hear Bishop Van talk and I'm like, yo, this guy is different, and in that became the work of then later learning, okay, he's doing a lot of work with Vanguard. And my whole thought process of that footprint of the relationship between faith leaders in the city of Detroit, businesses, and community organizing it's rich traditions that go back generations. And that footprint of the North End has such a stamp already, from everybody thinking about Little Rock Baptist. But Vanguard itself created another movement in so many other works and relationship building. I had the opportunity to interview him at Just Lead's Policy and Racial Diversity Conference, and that's done through New Detroit. And he's speaking about really some things that General Motors was doing, works within the community. A lot of these discussions of what has come to light in gentrification and really how businesses and community will intersect because so much attention in that early 2000s and even to today, a lot of attention and eyes have been on the North End. And Vanguard Industries was like a key player in that, and so many people working with Vanguard. Donna Davison of Eastside Community Network is from that tree, and so many others. So Vanguard at the time, I can only imagine, is like involved in so much in your journey when I think of that snapshot. So I'm going to just give that introduction. What was it like connecting to Vanguard from the lens of being in high school, kind of learning this, and what did it look and feel like?
Yeah, I was just surprised that something like that existed, because I've been big on manifestation since I was a kid. So I remember writing like, I am going to grow up and, provide resources for because like I said, I'm studying Malcolm and Huey and all them with my pops. So I'm like, I'm going to grow up and, provide resources to the community that will stimulate entrepreneurial growth. And, I'm like 7 years old writing this. So when I get to high school, I'm like, oh, it's actually buildings that already exist like that. So, it was surreal. And at the same time, it was, down to earth and just a dope spot to connect with, adults that believed in something that we wanted to do, something that I wanted to do. It was a group of us, something that we wanted to do outside of the norm. That was like really refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Like they believed in us doing something alternative. You know.
Okay. And then Detroit Future City. Man, Detroit Future City is, in a lot of ways, people say, okay, that's provocative and controversial because Detroit Future City, as I remember it, and it's the book. Man, I can't find that book, but it's the book that that really looked at the concept of like, okay, Detroit is large enough for 2 million people. And at one point in time, Detroit had 1.8 million on record residents inside of it. And the concept of what to do with a city that is so large of a footprint, but they're not, what can we do with this city? And Future City was tasked with like, okay, coming up with ideas of how to utilize it as I remember it at the time. And in that leadership, it was one of the largest research projects that I can remember myself like having an understanding, because I'm working at the Michigan Citizen at the time as this is coming to life and manifesting. And that project and that team really unpacking how to utilize things. That was the vision originally. As the work is carried on, it's definitely shifted in focus more so of like how to resource things and how initiatives can be empowering for Detroiters. But originally it was like, let's really ask a lot of Detroiters of what's next and what can be, hence, quote unquote, the future city of Detroit. What do you remember about working there and interning in that space?
Yeah, interning in that space was it was a shadow. I was work shadowing, so I was following around the different leaders in that space and seeing how they operate, seeing how they conduct mastermind meetings, seeing they was walking me through the research that they did. They was walking me through the systems that they use for data entry. They was taking me around to drive around the city again to look at the landscape of what's going to be there and is there now. So it was very hands-on, very again immersive.
You said mastermind.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that breakdown and that approach towards planning?
Yeah, so I saw strategic planning firsthand. It would be a round table or a boardroom table of people, and they would all go around and say what they represent. I represent this part of the council. I represent this authority, and everybody would have their turn to speak. Had their notebooks out, and taking notes on what was going to be covered. I think my person I was shadowing, I think his name was Dan Patera, and he would be leading the meetings, have his notebook out, and it showed me a lot about strategic planning. And even with what I do today outside of music, with strategic planning with the different squads and collectives I'm a part of, it definitely still echoes through my behavior for sure.
All right, poetry. You said Alea. What Alea?
Alea. I know she's related to Baba Blair.
Alea Harvey Quinn of Force Detroit. Okay. Yeah. And I didn't even know the relationship in poetry, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. What was that like as she's transitioning from Force Detroit as of recent, but very dynamic, extremely brilliant in thought and process from a different angle. Yeah. What was it like meeting her and being in that space?
Yeah, what I remember was her exposing us to a lot of street poets and a lot of the spoken word, like last poets, giving us that game on like the origin, and then giving us different writing exercises and challenging us to rewrite different poems. I remember even having one of my homies from my high school was with me, and he was like, I just want to rap, man. I ain't trying to do all this all this poetry. So that's how rigorous it got with the different prompts and editing and revising and paying attention to our message. So yeah,
I can imagine. I can imagine any lesson given by Alea being a lesson that's going to be something that you better finish.
Yeah.
Yep. So how do you think that helped you in your writing?
It was It was definitely transformed my writing. Because before then, um, I was just piecing together like um, writing prompts. I would just take a writing prompt and then just make it like a simple poem about it. But she had me like making complex stuff.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then you close out studio in Southfield. You
Yeah.
remember who ran the studio?
I cannot remember who ran that studio. It wasn't like a hot studio. It was like a real technical type of studio. It wasn't like a the collective or what I'm saying, something like Heaven Studios or something. It was it was not run of the mill at all. It was industry standard, but it wasn't like a totally hip hop studio. Oh no, I'm tripping. I forgot. It was a studio on, I can't remember, but it was on 9 Mile. They was out cold. Yeah. That one was fire because we had to move around a lot.
Yeah, in the discipline. I'm guessing in my mind, 9 Mile and was it the Star Factory?
John R.
9 Mile and John R. So that's not the Star Factory.
Yeah, but I can't not remember it, but it was a brother that ran it. I think it was him and his son or something. But yeah, they was definitely a hip hop studio.
Okay, what do you remember working on or connecting? What do you learn from that experience?
From that experience, just learning about music as a business, again, possibility. Again, they really connected me with somebody that's doing it, and it's not the same old doctor lawyer, which is nothing wrong with doctor lawyer, but it wasn't. I felt like my realm of possibility was opened up, and I seen it from a everyday level too. Like what I'm saying, rap as an industry or hip hop as an industry, music as an industry. Even if you don't go stadium status, like people making a living off of what they love to do and creating music. So it was exciting and relieving. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they really believe I can do something different. You know what I mean? It's alternative.
All right. So from there, after high school, and it's unique just knowing your story.
Yeah.
You taking like pieces of a lot of that and still putting it all together, even to this day.
Yeah.
Where you go after high school?
It's a soup. It's all together. After high school, I go to MSU. Yeah, I go to MSU, and I'm studying engineering. Halfway. I'm partying.
Say halfway.
Halfway, I'm going to. I really got involved with like network marketing there. That's what got me. I seen, coming off of learning about strategic planning and community organizing, and connecting with people. When I discovered this network marketing group, it really inspired me to just pursue entrepreneurship. So that's when I got on the entrepreneurship train.
All right, talk about network marketing.
Yeah, so network marketing, you feel me, it was something, what I'm saying, that I was introduced to, and again was an alternative to the, what I'm saying, the regular way. So that's what intrigued me to it. I remember the particular group, what I'm saying, that I used to work with, like, and at MSU it was Vima and Verve, and what I'm saying, we had like different events. And what really got me connected to the group was learning about law of attraction and learning about the power of the mind and learning about how you could speak things into existence, and then inspiring people to have that same mindset, you feel me, to speak things into existence. So that's what really tethered me to the movement. What tethered me to network marketing, and then using it as a movement to introduce people to that mindset.
So in that same sense, like when I hear network marketing, the immediate thing a lot of people think is like, oh man, this person gonna try to sell me some Primerica. This is a pyramid scheme, and I gotta bring in everybody I know so that I can make $1, and then they can meet some people, and then they can make $1. What's the approach to, I guess, look at this business where it feels less of all of those thought processes and more of value for everybody involved?
Yeah. When it's not about, selling somebody to, or being somebody's friend, to sell somebody, when it's more about, you know, genuinely creating a environment and a community that is sharing resources and that is supporting each other. You feel me? That's what really drew me to the concept and drew me to the industry. And being able to incentivize that type of behavior, and switching the construct of like working for a living and more so living to do what you love was something that, attracted me to that, and something that I like to highlight.
Okay.
Me from that.
All right. So in that same span, so I'm guessing, I don't even know how many semesters at Michigan State. You're in that space. You end up getting more into artistry, because that's how we kind of cross paths through Fluent and seeing you perform with Fluent. But I'm guessing you're staying with poetry and hip hop the whole time.
I'm staying with poetry and hip hop the whole time through. So it's like we was talking about the internship. So from that, from being in the different studio spaces and seeing that it was possible, it was like, okay, bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something I can do. So always kept my pen going, always kept writing, always kept when I got to college, that's when I started doing ciphers. You know what I'm saying? We started doing different cipher sessions with people to practice freestyle, practice the art of freestyling. So that's what after high school, that's what I started doing. I started doing ciphers. And they was cipher competitions. You feel me? So the competition was like, basically, you feel me, whoever the crowd decide who win. If you want to participate in the cipher, throw some money in the hat, you feel me, and then you win half the pot and the house keep the other half. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that's what I really got into, like the showcase space. I had spent some time in Lansing and then spent some time like in Yipsy, and that's when my son was born. You feel me? So like right after high school, my son was born. A year later, you feel me? So I went into pops mode, went into dad mode, and that's when I really start studying consciousness real heavy and start studying again law of attraction, Moorish science, and different laws of the universe, because that's what really elevated me mentally. You know what I'm saying? To be ready to be a father.
So in this same space, in the thought process and scope, a couple of different things you lay out. So first, let me give context from my hip hop world.
Yeah.
A cipher is taken from the term cipher when we think of the nation of gods to earth, the 5% nation of Islam, of rappers gathering and rappers freestyling, and freestyling is improvisational rap. So technically, like at root of most freestyles, it'll be like, okay, almost like, hey, rap about this black magnet, rap about this remote, rap about this water bottle, and then you're just going to have to be responsive and rap off time of what that is. Somewhere near the end of 2000s, I guess freestyling became like a person writing a verse and just delivering the verse that they wrote. I don't know, but that was the root of what ciphering is.
Yeah.
So your cipher competitions would be like, okay, how can a person respond the most? One of the best freestylers I've ever seen, and I think many people would concur with this, rest in peace, Proof, Big Proof, of just having that skill set of just knowing how to rap all the time and having that delivery and being in motion. And the cool thing about a cipher is it's a collective of, you don't know how many people, but we're all like sharing in that space to rap. And as you get better as a rapper, you're not sitting the whole time thinking about what you're going to say next.
Yeah.
You're in motion and you're listening to what they're saying, and you kind of pick up, and then it's shared. And it definitely is an exercise that strengthens your skill set in listening and your skill set in thinking on your feet.
Yeah, it does. And it's like an exercise for your subconscious, to bring your subconscious into the conscious with style. You know? And that's the thing, you're doing it with style, and that's why I say the cipher divine, because even if you're not rhyming, like, you're still in a cipher, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you working the camera, like, you ciphering because you like in that mode and you thinking on your feet and you coming up with it as you go. So I feel like all walks of life had that cipher.
And you also mentioned fatherhood at that time.
Yeah.
And preparation of fatherhood.
Yeah.
So in that creative space of saying like, okay, these are the skill sets that I want to pull to add into that.
Yeah.
And what is that journey? What was that journey like then? And then how did that even impact your creativity?
Right. So, yeah, it was definitely something that I had to like get ready for. You know, it was something that hit me. It was unexpected. You know what I mean? But it was something that grew me up and something that intensified my calling to take all of this gumbo of community activism and leadership and creativity and artistry and you know, make it become something. And that's what got me again into studying, you know, laws of the universe and studying different universal principles, you know what I'm saying, to first of all do that shadow work within me to get ready to be a father and have my self-esteem high and breathe life into myself so I could breathe life and give value and love to my family and to my son that was on the way.
All right, and in that same space, now creativity is moving.
Yeah.
We can move forward to some of the things that you're working on now. Still tackling stages, but before we get right there, what are some of those standout moments from performance where it's like, okay, I'm getting this? As much as a creative does what they do in personal passion and personal purpose, sometimes the understanding others connecting to the artistry provides another amount of push in the place. What are some of those moments thus far in your performance where it's like, oh man, I'm getting this?
So when you say getting this, are you saying like
it could be like your favorite stage so far, of like your favorite performance, that moment where it's like, you know, somebody you look up to walk up to you like, yo.
Like,
you know.
keep going, like, okay, so maybe let's go timeline wise. The first time that I was like, okay, man, I'm getting this. I gotta reflect on that. I gotta reflect on that. Because as of recent, it's been
we can go there.
we can go as of recent, because I guess that's what's, you know what I'm saying, on my conscience right now. It was definitely the KRS-One stage, opening up for.
Talk about that.
Yeah, opening up for KRS-One was definitely powerful.
You got to tell the story. We had Detroit is different. So you just mentioning that, how, what was happening, what was the whole flow?
Yeah, so I rock with Jewels of Detroit out in the Highland Park, right? And
who's Jewels of Detroit?
Yeah, Jewels of Detroit.
We got to go.
Yeah. All right, let me put it in perspective.
Everything.
Right. So I rock with Jewels of Detroit. That's the collective I'm a part of. I'm a part of Teflon Records, and Jewels of Detroit is a collective of artists and creatives that put together festive events and put together showcases and put together ways for you to see Detroit. You know what I'm saying? See Detroit in its light. You know, and that's what a jewel of Detroit is. Somebody that's a jewel of Detroit. You know,
I like it.
It's not you know, just the core group or the collective, but whoever is shining in Detroit. So Karan the Don, he is the leader, and he was asked to DJ for KRS-One was coming to town for a fundraiser for Avalon Village. So Avalon Village is right down the street from where Jewels of Detroit, where we have our showcases and where we got our studio. And we've done Map Fest with them two years in a row. And they had KRS-One coming for a fundraiser, and he was asked to be the DJ. And he said, you know, if I'm a DJ, I want some jewels to come with me too. So he had not only myself, you know, but he also had some poets come bless the stage, Frias Allen, Fule, and soulful poetry, and we came and basically blazed the stage before KRS-One did. So that was, a special moment. We had Detroit News was out. DJ Los was also DJing. So it was definitely dope for the culture and to really like bridge that gap, which is, what I aim to do with hip hop is like, bridging that old school and that new school so we can continue to flourish.
So definitely, as I did a liner drop with that, Mama Shoe and everything in Avalon Village, not far from where Detroit is different, sits. Always so supportive of it and what that vision is of what's manifested from Avalon. And that Avalon story is something that is so, like, it gives me so much life, and just the energy of Shoe and what Shoe does is so inspirational. But I remember the concert, and shout out to Los, another great story that's been here at Detroit is Different, connecting, and awesome Dre. And Dre coming soon. Dre is going to be a 2025 one. With all of that said, give a portion a little bit of what you gave so the people can hear that day. And why did you choose that rhyme or that line or that spoken word piece?
A portion of that, I say, know I'm rocking with who I'm rocking with. Only talking real, I'm not talking about the opposite. 7 law operative, Kundalini popping up like boom shakalaka when I interlace my chakras. Lacing up my Timbs just to race to the mountaintops and rain positive on the crowds of the populace. You feel me?
So, okay, that's dope. That's dope. You've always, like, you know what I'm saying? I saw you and I was like, I got to book them at this song. I booked you at maybe the as I told Fluid, that may have been like the hottest day in Detroit history, I think, when we was performing that one day.
Oh man, yeah, it was hot. It was definitely hot.
It was 103 inside of a tent, so it was like 115 or something.
We had the drums out and everything.
Now, with that being said, how did you pick that rhyme and why did you pick that one?
I picked that rhyme because, like I said, it's a boom bap type of style, and but at the same time, it's got the new school flair. That's why I picked that rhyme. But I actually had a whole set. I had I think it was about 10-minute set. So that's on my YouTube if you go on there and you can see that.
All right. So now what you working on?
So now what I'm working on. Now I'm working on Energy is Real. It's a audio project that is meant to raise your frequency, raise your vibration, and get your energy right. Yeah.
Okay. Who are the collaborators on it? When will it be out? What's the progress? What's the status? What's the whole story behind it?
Yeah, we're shooting for later this spring to have that come out. It's still a lot of conceptual stuff right now. We're gonna put some more. It's some tracks recorded, but we're gonna put some more tracks together to. Some brand new tracks together to tie it all together. It's been a work in progress for some time, and that's really what's going on with the audio project. Like I said, it's gonna be like a journey. You feel me? So when you put the headphones on, it take you there.
Okay, all right, and then you got an event coming up too.
Yes, so a lot of events coming up. Really a whole event series.
Break it down.
Yeah, I'll break it down. So. Let's Get Tribal is the battle cry, you feel me, to the hip-hop community and to bridge the gap from the hip-hop community with the quote-unquote conscious community, you know what I'm saying, just bridging the old school and the new school in the modern day. And the whole premise is, we have creative showcases and artistic showcases every night of the week. Sometimes we can put them all together, under one big roof and get tribal. So what we got coming up at Alkebulan Village, and this is presented by Gladiator of Health Cafe, is Tea, Eats, and Arts. This is an event for holistic health. It's going to be on January 25th. And what's synchronized about that is it's actually going to be a planetary alignment that day. And we didn't even know that when she chose the date. So Gladiator of Health Cafe, she's a herbalist. Monica Redmond, she's a herbalist, and she has a tea that is out of this world. It's called Mon Red Tea, but she makes all different types of teas for whatever ailment you got. You can also get bulk herbs from her, and basically I'm just helping her promote that because, again, this is a holistic health event to exhibit 20 different vendors from around the city of Detroit that has everything. This is where you come get your crystals, come get your sage, come get whatever you need to continue to help you elevate through the new year. And when you come here, we're gonna have some interactive activities to do so that we can set our intention while we got this planetary alignment, and also have some entertainment and edutainment from our Cuban Line Village.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right. So how do I tap into this whole series and keep up with it? I'm guessing I can socials and everything like that. How do I keep up?
Yeah. So for that particular event, you can go to gladiatorofhealthcafe.com, or you can and you can also follow Instagram. Let's Get Tribal Forever, and that's where I post the different event series that we got going on for sure.
All right. All right. So with that, we close out. I got the classic Detroit is different questions.
Okay. Can I shout out one more event that we got?
Yeah, man.
Up?
Go.
So another event series. So that's in the holistic space. What we got going on with the Tea Eats and Arts, the Tea Party. What we got going on in the hip hop space, we got the Non-Stop Show. So NON is an acronym for Now or Never, and at this Non-Stop Show, this is a evolution of the cipher that I've been doing for some years, and I'm teamed up with We Are Culture Creators, teamed up with DeCamp, and what we do is we put together these cipher events where first you come cipher, then we also have a showcase, to exhibit some emerging talent that got some buzz and got some hype and next to blow, and we're making it into a whole show, like a 106 in Park where we giving interviews. We're gonna have respecting the culture, doing break dancing. We have different live artists, so that's some graffiti. You feel me? And then we have a little street knowledge, have people come through and shout out their brand or shout out whatever cause they working with. So we creating a party with a purpose that's fun at the same time. And we're not only having that in the city of Detroit. We just came back from Europe this fall, and we were taking the Non-Stop Show all around Europe, from Paris to Berlin to Amsterdam, and now we're gonna be going to South by Southwest in March 13th.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. How do I stay up with that?
Yeah, so you stay up with that. You go to nonstophiphop.com, and you can just tap in on there. You can get tickets to the next show. You can get some merch. We got playlists, and we got a vlog series, so you can see like the behind the scenes of how the show happened.
That's all love.
Yeah.
That's all love.
Sure.
All right, and I'll close out with the classic ones.
Yeah.
Very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
Very first car had that Buick Park Avenue. Yeah, it was a 1996. I forgot what year I got it. It was my first car though. I was 16.
Where's the first place you went when you got it?
First place I went when I got it, I pulled up on my pops and we went to go see Chris Tucker at the Fox.
Wow, ain't that something? That's a memory for you.
Yeah,
that's a first ride for.
Yeah, we went down and seen Chris Tucker. It was funny.
Okay. All right. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks, Woodward and Jefferson. You get to play 2 songs. What songs you playing?
Woodward and Jefferson. All I see is fireworks. I think that's Drake and Alicia Keys. I play Fireworks, and then I play end of the Fireworks. Yeah, dang. Oh my God, caught me so off guard with this one. Let me see. What's another song? I feel like I gotta play a Detroit song.
It's up to you. You the DJ.
Yeah, I feel like I gotta play. It's the end of the night. I'm going to just play, it's a Detroit, I'm going to play a Detroit song. I don't know, I'm going to just throw something out there. I'm going to say it's a good-ass day. We're playing a good-ass day.
There we go. All right, and then last question. You could rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why? That's
Coleman Young Street.
There we go. All right. Hey, I love it. He is the most named person of it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Young Boulevard.
There we go. So with that being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for having me on the platform.
All day.
I appreciate seeing the growth that Detroit is different is experiencing.
Oh, man.
I remember I think that was the inaugural episode I came to when it was out there on the yard. It was a few years ago.
It started the inaugural episode April 24th, 2014 in Le Petit Zinc, talking about French Cafe. Shout out to my homie Karima Sorrell. And me and Baba Malik sit down and have a discussion. That starts it, and it's here now.
Yeah. I just respect you as a thought leader. Respect you as a culture creator and somebody that's putting their money where their mouth is and being a leader in this space, for real.
Respect, man. I'm glad that I've been able to create some stages and some platforms and the whole time through, you know what I'm saying? Be able to keep a sandwich to the side in the refrigerator and a house and a roof, man. This has been one hell of a journey that I love every day. Yeah. And seeing you stay so committed to this creativity and learning a lot more about your story and really how your story connects to really you was like Mr. Miyagi or something. Like all of the pieces you was getting as a kid are coming full circle to what you're doing right now, man. Yeah, man.
Say that.
You know when the punch is coming.
You feel me?
Yes, sir. All right, with that being said, peace.
Detroit is Different is where you get information, artistry, history, music, and even comedy. Detroit is Different, a home for the culture of Detroit. Visit online at DetroitisDifferent.com today.